Well, the other way to do it, of course, is simply to think big, think different. And I see there's an increasing trend toward large screens, whether they're large individual screens, such as the 100-plus inch units that companies like Panasonic are now bringing out, or whether they are video wall type applications. One of the most familiar places that we see these, of course, is not in fact in conventional digital signage, but in television studios. The photograph we have here is of the broadcast studio at the NASDAQ Stock Exchange in New York. That's a 96-screen unit, 750 square feet. It's actually made up of projection cubes from Christie, and with images across multiple cubes. As you can see, a very, very potent visual force there. Large installations like this, and of course they don't have to be this big, but they have to be large in relation to your space. What do? First of all, they simply awe. They grab the attention. They're immersive. Once you've got a screen or a display combination this size, people are thoroughly absorbed by it. They're not being distracted by other visual cues. For the same reason, they're memorable. They allow you to work to make the most of your space. Increasingly, we're seeing new builds, particularly, people are working with architects and with interior designers from the beginning to achieve the most impactful use of those screens. And they allow you to break out of the old 16:9 screen dimension, screen shape, to do something a little less predictable. Example. It comes from the UK headquarters of the Spanish telephone company Telefónica, which owns the O2 operator in Britain. It's in their headquarters in Slough near London. And believe it or not, that is a screen. It's about 40 feet long, polished steel on one side, and LED displays on the other. You can see the blue underside, as it were, is the screen. It looks almost like a piece of contemporary sculpture. It's a pity we can't see the images moving on it. But it is utterly attention-grabbing when you're walking through that lobby area. Here's JCDecaux again. And I'm not being paid by JCDecaux. It's just that they have a lot of the most interesting outdoor applications at the moment. This is a very recent installation in the last 2 or 3 months at Euston Station in London, one of the major London railway stations. JCDecaux calls it eMotion, and it consists of 9 displays that you can see there around the top of the walls. And images can move from one display to another, so the displays can work cooperatively to create a single, again, immersive, again, very memorable message. This is an interesting example also of where architecture works to increase the potency of the screen if it's properly exploited. Euston Station is a 1960s building, very square, very straightforward, flat walls and so on. So very easy to just deploy something like this. If you were trying to do that in, say, a Victorian building or a medieval castle, you'd start to find it a lot more difficult because you wouldn't get those flat surfaces and you'd have to have a more creative approach. So always worth bearing in mind not only the small scale of where am I going to put my screen and what am I going to show on it, but also how does it work with the surrounding building. Or not, as the case may be. You can always take the screens out of the buildings altogether. There's still only a few companies, but they are growing in number and a very interesting innovation, who are putting screens on vehicles. This is an English example. It's the Digi Ad Van from SA Screen Media, based in the north of England, though it looks to me from the street sign like this is probably a London scene. These are vans that can go around to events. They're not really devised for showing advertising while trundling down the street, but for being temporary installations, for example, at outdoor fairs. And not only do they have that impressive large screen on the side, they also have a whole range of interactive options with them, not just the obvious SMS, etc., but even down to sort of game controllers and things like that.